Welcome to Hack Your COVID Life, a video series we've put together at Sourcebooks to help you and your families get through this unprecedented time. We'll be talking with a number of our authors on a wide range of topics, from parenting to money to self-care, and providing information, tips, tools, resources, and advice that you can use in your homes right now to make life a little easier for everyone. I'm Liz Kelch. I'm Director of Marketing at Sourcebooks, and I'm joined by Ashley Feinstein Gerstley. She's the founder of Fiscal Femme and the author of the 30-Day Money Cleanse. Thanks so much for joining us, Ashley.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, money is a major concern for so many people right now. So let's start by going over some of the highlights of the Federal CARES Act and what it means for individuals.
Yeah, so there are a lot of different parts of it. So I'll cover the highlights. First up, I think probably the most exciting and most important for a lot of people are the stimulus payments. And in the comments, I'll include relevant links as I go through. So the first thing is a calculator to see how much you actually can expect to earn or receive based on what you earn either in your 2018 taxes or your 2019 taxes, whatever one was last filed. There's a lot of expanded unemployment benefits. So eligible workers are receiving an extra $600 from the federal government in addition to their state benefits, and it's covering a lot more people than it used to. So you can file if you had your hours reduced, if you're self-employed, if you are part-time. Those are all changes. There's more student loan relief. So if you have federal student loans, I think about 90% of federal loans qualify. You do not have to make payments until September or through September 30th. So you have relief on having no interest, and it shouldn't penalize you if you are in a forgiveness program. Your interest shouldn't accrue, and any of these changes should not affect your credit score either. For small businesses, there's a few resources. So one is the PPP, the Payroll Protection Program. And so I'll provide links for these two. And this helps us keep our payroll going. It counts for W-2 employees, and then also for some mortgage and utility costs. And then there is a grant for $10,000 for small businesses. And then a fun random side note is I talk a lot about the tampon tax and how we're paying taxes on our tampons. So a random part of the CARES Act is that our menstrual products are now eligible for reimbursement. So they're in our health savings account and our flexible spending account. So now they're tax-free.
Excellent. All good advice for everyone. I know
a lot.
Yeah. I know in a recent article you outlined a three-step process to streamlining our expenses during the pandemic. So I'd love it if you could share those with us now.
Yes, and I called this recondoing our finances just because at home right now we're spending a lot of time at home, hopefully, and so I've been having this inkling to want to tidy and organize in whatever free time I have. And so I thought it makes so much sense, especially right now where a lot of us have either had changes to our income or we're really prioritizing building up that rainy day funds and wanting to save. So our expenses are really critical. So first, what I'm having people do is list out all of your current expenses, fixed and variable. If you want to use a budgeting spreadsheet, I have one that I use and I send out to my community, so I'll include that link so you can put it all in one place. And then once you have that, you'll kind of have an idea of how much you're spending. And if you want to be spending less, then move on to steps 2 and 3. If you're happy with what you're spending, then great. And then step 2 is thinking about, given what's going on and the changes in your life, or just because you've looked at it and you haven't been looking at it before, are there any expenses that you're ready to let go of? And we can ask ourselves this honestly, like only we can know, but answer, do I need this? Are there other ways to get this that might cost less money or no money? And is this really adding value to my life and aligned with my values? Mm-hmm. And then what we have is we're left with all these really important expenses. And step 2 doesn't mean we have to cut everything out. It just means we want to get closer and closer to that more meaningful spending. And then for what's left over, I've really been finding that companies are coming together and supporting people during this time that's very stressful financially. Mm-hmm. So they're open to providing some relief, whether that's through discounts or free services. And so you can call up a lot of these companies that you decide to continue with services, your credit card companies, your lenders, subscription providers, and see if they have an offering for those who have been affected by the pandemic.
Great. And I know you touched on it a little bit earlier about the relief that's available on student loans, but can you talk a little bit about what's available for credit card debt and mortgages too?
Yes, definitely. So it's interesting with the credit card companies, and I'll provide a link because I think it's helpful to see what different credit card companies have been offering, because it hasn't been completely standard across the board, but we've seen things like reduced interest rates, allowing you to just pass on your next payment without penalty, having fees waived. So I think it's helpful when you go to reach out to your credit card company for relief that you have an idea of what they've been offering others. In our Fiscal Femme Slack community, it's been really fun to see that people are reporting back like, oh, I just talked to my car insurance company, and because people aren't driving, a lot of car insurance companies are offering discounts, or I got this offering from my credit card company to help during this time, or this is what's happening with my student loans. So we've been seeing it real time that companies are working with people. The wait times are much longer just because so many people are calling in and a lot of the staff is reduced. So that I would say for credit cards. For mortgages, mostly what I'm seeing is that people are able to defer payments. I'm going to include an NPR article about people who have gone through that process, because in the cases that I've seen, interest is still accruing on our mortgages, and often there's like this lump sum payment expected at the end of the relief that people are working through and navigating. So I'll include that. The student loans, we have the CARES Act relief for the federal loans, but a lot of lenders that are private lenders are working with those who have student loans to help them with some relief during this time.
Yeah, it's great advice, and I think it's really all about just communicating. It's call your bank, call your lenders, and see kind of what's going on. So it's just being in touch.
Yes, and all of this information is helpful, but it's knowing what's available and then actually checking what is specific to you based on who you're working with and who your lenders are. Exactly.
Great. All right. So what about investments? What's your advice for, if you have investments in the stock market now, it's very volatile. What's your advice for the stock market?
Right. So if you have been feeling very uneasy about your investments, you're definitely not alone. I've gotten so many messages from people saying, what is happening? Should I be selling my 401k? And it makes perfect sense. It's very unnerving when the market is so volatile and it's going bananas, and to see the value of our investments change. But this is the reason. And it's funny, even though we know this objectively, it's really hard in the moment. But this is why we invest for the long term, because we want to be able to wait out these ups and downs in the market without having to sell when our investments are down. So if you think about when we're investing, the only prices that matter are the prices that we purchase the investment for and the price that we sell the investment for. So if we are able to, and we're able to hold out and we don't need the money right now, we can ride this out and wait until the market comes back before we sell, so that we're not selling when the market is really low.
Yeah, and I think I read
look at them really. But like best advice is just don't look at it. If you don't need the money right now, let's just try to avoid checking in.
Yeah, that's actually what I saw on your website and blog. Advice for investments: just don't look right now unless you absolutely have to. So
why torture yourself?
Yeah, very good advice. So last question: your entire program is built around empowering women and ending inequality through financial well-being. So what would you say to the women who are listening now? What is the one thing you want them to take away from this conversation?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing, so I'll talk about the biggest actual practical step, but to hang in there. I know this is such a stressful and really devastating time for so many people, and depending on your situation, you might have all this free time to look at your finances, or if you're trying to balance work and homeschooling and don't have childcare, you might just be trying to get by. So do what you can and kind of take it easy on yourself during this crazy time. But I'd say if you have to choose one thing, I'd start by looking at your rainy day fund. And it's interesting, we often choose what's in our rainy day fund or how much we want to have saved when things are really good. So it's helpful to think, okay, my income has changed, or I'm worried about my income changing. Over 10 million people have filed for unemployment. So this is obviously something that's happening to so many people. Do I want to build that up? Or have I not started and I want to build that up? It's okay to start small. I have a guide that I'm going to share here called Save $1,000. So it can help you start taking some steps. And it's okay if it's not $1,000 at a time. It can be $5 at a time to start building up that rainy day fund to protect us and to provide some feeling of peace of mind during a really volatile financial time.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Ashley. Ashley's the author of the 30-Day Money Cleanse, which you can find at your favorite bookstore, also an ebook, and you can visit her at fiscalfemme.com, where you can sign up for her weekly newsletter, and you can find a lot of the information she just shared. It'll also be in the comment section on this post as well. So thank you again for your time today, Ashley.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure.
And we hope we won't have to do this video series for very long, but we will be sharing video chats for as long as is necessary. Stay safe, everyone.